And we're live. Welcome to the live Nerdcast. We've waited for this day all year, guys. I mean, it's finally here. We know the 16 hosts. We're going to get a field tomorrow. 64 teams are going to continue their path toward Omaha. And out of that, we're going to get a lot of stories. We're going to get tremendous games. And I'm excited to pick the field. I mean, there's so much happened since we met last week. Now there's no more projecting now. That the hay's in the barn, as my dad used to say. So I think that's where we are. Any thoughts before we kick this thing off?
Yeah, I think that what's kind of cool is I think in this era of college athletics where there's a lot of parity, you tend to see different teams win the conference tournament than the regular season. I think if you look at the power conferences, UCLA won the Big Ten regular season and the tournament. You had Georgia win the regular season and the tournament. Georgia Tech win the regular season and the tournament in the ACC. And, of course, Kansas winning the regular season and the tournament. So just really interesting to see the consistency from those clubs.
Yeah.
And the Sun Belt, Southern Miss.
Yeah. So those are the five best leagues. You had double champions. That is, I thought, very cool. And certainly at this point, I feel like the top three teams have separated themselves as kind of favorites to win it all. UCLA, Georgia Tech, and Georgia, and just incredible bodies of work. And we'll get into where they all slot. But before we do, Mark, the hosts have been announced, as you mentioned earlier.
Yep.
And for us, I think no real big surprises. There was really only one that we were debating when we met late last night to do our latest projection this morning. And it was kind of Arkansas versus Mississippi State. And the rest of the hosts, I think we hit all of those. So no real surprises. We were wondering if the Big 12 would get two hosts. We thought that they would. We thought that they should. And they did. Kansas and West Virginia both host after the Big 12 was shut out last year. But the SEC winds up getting what's the final number then? 7 hosts, right? So it came down to Mississippi State or Arkansas. We talked about this internally a lot. We wound up kind of coming around on Arkansas's case, because they do have the head-to-head series win against Mississippi State. And also it's just a better Q1 record. That's the real loud thing for me. It was 18-12 against Q1 versus 9-14, I believe, for Mississippi State. But Mississippi State had that all-important RPI advantage. They were 13 in the RPI, I think, as of right now, versus Arkansas is 21. So I guess the committee wound up leaning RPI there.
Yeah, Mississippi State had better computer ratings overall, not just the RPI, the DSR, the KPI as well. Strength of
those
schedule.
Two are negligible, but yeah,
strength of schedule. In all three categories, whether it's non-conference, conference overall, and then also they didn't lose any Q3 or Q4 games, which I think really helped them push that or keep that RPI where it was. They beat Ole Miss 4 times too. But after that, you look at it, and Arkansas probably had better wins. Not probably, they had better wins, and they had the head-to-head, but it wasn't enough to offset Mississippi State's advantage in those categories we mentioned.
A good reminder that it's not just your high-end wins. I think we all get caught up a little bit maybe in high-end wins. I value high-end wins, but you lose a few of those games against Q4s. Arkansas went 10-3 against Q4 and 8-2 against Q3. So that's 5 losses against the kind of second half.
Yeah, they had some ugly losses earlier in the year, and they weren't playing particularly well.
And that's really why their RPI is lower, and that's ultimately why they didn't get a host. So those games matter. They all matter as it unfolds at the end of the season.
And the other being consistent, right? Of being able to avoid those losses.
Yep.
Right. Go ahead, Kendall.
No, I was just going to say, a lot of people kind of pointed out, and I think we even talked about it last week or in one of the Nerdcasts late last week. But I mean, people pointed out that, Arkansas won its last 3 series, State lost its last 3 series. But I mean, you got to compare who the two teams played as well. I mean, Arkansas played Ole Miss, good team. They were a host contender until the SEC tournament. Oklahoma and Kentucky, and then State finished with A&M, Auburn, and who was the other? Yeah, Texas. So a little different competition there the last 3 weekends of the season.
And who you play matters, right? And I do think we're gonna You know, as we go through this exercise, strength of schedule is going to be something we refer to constantly, and that's something the committee has pointed to. They've encouraged teams to go out. If your conference isn't as strong, you need to go out and demonstrate that you can play with the best teams in the country. And I think those kinds of teams that did that are going to have a leg up when it comes to selection day.
Yeah,
so
I mean, the other
bow on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I would just say to put a bow on it. No outrages out of these host selections.
Not at
I mean,
all.
like, you know, we kind of struggled, frankly, with Mississippi State versus Arkansas. I think you could make a case either way. We wound up leaning Arkansas at the end, but I mean, you know, you made the point for Mississippi State pretty well, and it was kind of almost a coin toss, really.
Yeah. I mean, 17, right? And
for sure.
16. You had 16 spots.
Right.
Yeah, I think the other team to kind of, I guess, point out a little bit. We spoke the other day just about, you know, is there a human ranking element here somewhere? And as it pertains to Oregon State, you know, Oregon State's a, you know, unanimous top 10 team by everybody. They're 19 in the RPI, and they were not one of the 16 hosts. So at least in Oregon State's case, the answer to that question, does where a team sits in the human rankings matter? In this case, it did not matter.
Right.
The
other thing to point out, USC was 10th in the RPI and didn't, didn't get a host. So the committee is capable of looking at the RPI and going, okay, well, the RPI says this, but these other metrics that you also need to be good in, they just didn't have enough of those.
Yeah, and that's where Oregon State kind of fell short. I mean, Oregon State was 2-3 against Q1. You know, and when you compare it to some of these other contenders, it pales into comparison.
And USC, despite a number 9 RPI, was 1-11 against Q1, and that's just ultimately that Q1 metric matters. You got to have some good wins and be able to hold your own against the best teams in your schedule. And you know, it's hard for Oregon State to build a schedule that has a lot of Q1 opponents as an independent. Like that's not their fault, you know, that their conference dissolved around them, but it's just the unfortunate reality of the situation. You know, I mean, your schedule is what it is. They did the best they could, but ultimately they just couldn't come up with enough games against, you know, postseason caliber teams. So it was, I mean, they were 5-3 against the field, but USC was 3-11 against the field, by the way. So you know, that's why those teams aren't hosting.
It's a good point, Aaron. And it's not their fault, but you can't lower the bar either, right?
Yeah.
So you have to meet that minimum threshold. Well,
because I mean, if you make a team a host that's 2-3 against Q1, that opens the door to a lot of potential contenders down the road.
Set a precedent, right? Well, do you want to pick the field?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Yeah. So let's start at the top. You mentioned those 3 juggernauts that are kind of try favorites to win the whole thing. Over the course of the year, we've had a lot of UCLA, Georgia Tech, and Georgia. Any reason to tweak that sequence, or are we good the way?
Not for me.
Yeah, I'm good with that same order.
I mean, UCLA, you know, 11-1 Q1, Georgia Tech 22 wins against Q1, but you know, UCLA makes up for that quite a bit with 14 Q2 wins. So incredible season for those 2 teams, and of course Georgia winning both the SEC regular season and tournament title with 20 Q1 plus Q2 wins is obviously very impressive as well.
And do you recall how we were so worried about Georgia's RPI? It's up to 7 right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, it started the week in the teens. So they certainly were able to overcome that.
They just keep winning. They just keep winning, you know, and that RPI that they managed to overcome completely that really weak non-conference strength of schedule, which is what was holding their RPI back for such a long time. Before we move on, if you're new to the show, I know we've got a lot of you know, Christmas and Easter viewers here who pop on for the Selection Eve show. As we go through this, we're going to color code the teams on the right here on the spreadsheet that you can green teams as we add them to the field. And then we'll put bubble teams in yellow and eliminated teams in red as we go. So the stoplight system here is in effect.
Good.
Yeah, and by the way, thanks to our sponsors, CWS Omaha Inc. and Soldier Sports, for sponsoring our postseason coverage. Mark, let's rock and roll.
So moving past those try favorites, I think there are 3 teams that I want to talk about here. So it would be Texas, it would be Auburn, and it would be North Carolina. Those would be my next 3.
Yeah.
And not in that order. That was stream of consciousness here.
Right.
I think just to kick it off, we've had North Carolina here
Yeah.
previously. They made it all the way to the ACC final. Did Auburn do enough with their couple of wins? They made it to the semifinals. They would probably be ahead of Texas now for me. But Texas, just a thought on them is just their injury situation. They were able to be really cautious this week in Hoover. It cost them a game, most likely. Not to say they would have won, but they would have had a better chance had they thrown their top arms longer. But there's some concern, I think. Are they going to be healthy enough to be the team that was so good, say a month ago, right? So if they are, then man, I mean, they're one of the favorites, along with the teams we've listed. Otherwise, maybe they're vulnerable.
Yeah. For me, it's still I still like North Carolina and then Auburn. I mean, North Carolina being the only team that took a series off Georgia Tech all year, and they only lost one series all year. That was against Virginia. And I think that consistency matters. I mean, Auburn has a little bit of an advantage with the strength of schedule, which is the number one strength schedule in the country, which is loud. North Carolina's 15 though, so I mean they're not too far behind there. Q1s. I mean, Auburn's got more Q1 games. 15 and 17 is a lot of Q1 games. It's a losing record, but it's still that's a strength. But North Carolina 12 and 7 against Q1, so I think that to me stands out. But I'll say this too for Auburn, Mark. Record against one seeds, 13 and 13 for Auburn is a lot of games against one seeds, and they held their own against them. North Carolina just 2 and 2 against those one seeds. So maybe I'm talking myself into Auburn as I go through it.
Where do you?
I
come
like
down,
Auburn.
Like Auburn?
I come down to Auburn.
Just because of the overall body of work.
Overall body work, they look outstanding right now. I mean, you talk about the, Michael Alford's kind of talked about the eye test. I mean, Auburn looks awesome right now.
Okay.
I mean, so does North Carolina. I mean, they just, made
this isn't a slight.
Finals.
This is blondes or brunettes here. So North Carolina would be the 5th team for me, and Texas 6. Are we good with that order?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and just to reiterate the point, because you guys kind of heard me talk through it in real time. The point that actually swayed me to Auburn is that record against the one seeds. I mean, the difference between Q1 and the actual top 16 teams in the country, and it's 13 and 13 against one seeds. Like if that's
top
right,
16,
I assume it is.
That's impressive.
That's crazy. I mean, compared to 2 and 2, it's just a huge gap.
Just so many games, right?
Yeah.
So then there's the next group for 2 spots, and the teams that I'd like to consider here: Alabama, Florida, Florida State, Southern Miss, and Texas A&M. Those would be my next 5 teams in some order, and this is where because 2 of these teams are going to be in the top 8, which means they would host the Super Regional should they advance out of a regional. So it is an advantage being 8 versus being 9.
Yeah,
indeed. So we and I'll say for the viewers, we're starting from a clean slate here. So even though we had a projection this morning, it's not like we're locked into adjusting based on that projection. We're pretending like this is a completely clean slate. And so we're kind of taking a fresh look at all the resumes and reevaluating now that we have all the complete cases in.
Yeah, it's a good point because I mean, just speaking from my standpoint, we're covering games all weekend. You don't have a ton of time to just really sit down and do analysis. So we've had a little more time to look at this, and we could come up with a vastly different field than we did late last night.
I don't think we will, but I think they're going to.
It could be weird. Yeah.
Mark's going to have Mercer as a 2 seed, the top 2 seed by the time we're done here.
It could be. Talk me into it.
We, but I mentioned that because we had Alabama, I think, as the 7th seed this morning, right? And I still like that. I mean, I just think it comes down to high end wins. It's those. I mean, it's a number 6 RPI team that went 18 and 12 in the regular season in the SEC, and is 15 and 15 against Q1. I mean, all that stuff just feels pretty loud. 15 and 14 against the field, 7 and 7 against number 1 seeds. Like, I
Number 2
understand.
overall schedule.
Yeah, like all that stuff. It just playing like I get it. Like there's some reservation. Oh, they passed the eye test. I don't know. People, I feel like all year long there's been some skepticism toward them, but I think at some point you
Yeah.
just have to look at the resume. The
Yeah.
body of work
Florida.
speaks for itself.
Yeah. Florida 19-13 and then 11-9 against both of those categories. But I mean, thing about it is, Florida looked really good against them in Hoover, but I mean, they swept them in the regular season. That needs to matter when you're talking about two teams that are pretty close in the pecking order.
Well, one thing I'll say about Alabama is they have won ugly beautifully, right? They've turned it into an art that they've been able to play the close game and win a one-run game and get the clutch out, the clutch hit, and I do think that will be rewarded. So they would be team 7 for me. Any
same
objections?
Nope.
Okay. So then it comes down to one more spot in our top 8: Florida, Florida State, Southern Miss, Texas A&M.
Yep. I'll continue to say for me, Florida just has to be ahead of Florida State in the pecking order based on the 3-0 head-to-head record and just a lot more high-end wins than Florida State has. I mean, I know Florida State's a couple spots ahead in the RPI, interestingly enough, but the high-end wins to me. I mean, Florida State's 7-11 versus Q1.
0-8 against 1 seeds.
Yeah, I mean, in Florida is 16-12 against Q1, 11-9 against 1 seeds. Like that's not close.
Yeah, it's one thing if you split a couple of games, but when you get swept in a 3-game series, even a midweek series, that should matter.
Right. So the totality of those 3 games, like it's one thing to have, like you said, a one-off midweek situation or a 1-1, whatever. But like 3 games all go one way adds up.
3 different sides.
Important.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. Florida's my next team too.
Yeah, unless I mean the only other team to talk about here is Southern Miss.
Southern Miss, right?
Yep. If you want to talk about that before you put Florida in, how do you stack that up, Mark?
So with Southern Miss, RPI is 12. That's in the range. It's back to back with Florida. The 9-7 against. Am I looking at the right line here? 9-7 against Q1. But Q2 really good. 17-4. You put those together. 26-11 is really strong. The 12th non-conference strength of schedule is good. 35th overall strength of schedule. It's not where some of these Alabama and Auburn and Florida are, but it's a really strong schedule. The concern for me is we went through this exercise with Coastal last year and felt like Coastal had earned a top 8, and then when the field and we slotted them there they're on this show this time last year, and it turned out they were given the 13th overall seed. And Aaron, as you said last week, we were right that Coastal was one of the 8 best teams in the country, but they didn't get the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if Southern Miss this year is Coastal last year, but it does look similar from a resume standpoint. So I'm hesitant to slot them in that spot.
Double champion in the Sun Belt, like they kind of did everything they needed to do. I mean, they do have a good record against the high ends, except for this. It's 1-0 against our 1 seeds. That's the top 16. And Florida's 11-9. I mean, that is the biggest
significant difference there.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, that said, I like the double champion factor. I really do. I love what they did in the non-conference. Plenty of wins against SEC teams and, win against Oregon State. Like they did a lot of good stuff in the non-conference, but ultimately, again, I come back to that record against 1 seeds. That's a good column right there, Mark.
Yeah. The other part that I'll point out that this exercise is not what the 3 of us would do. This is not our field. We're projecting based on historical trends, based on the criteria that's been given, what we feel that the committee will do.
Yeah, good clarification. Yep.
So so that's our top 8: UCLA, Georgia Tech, Georgia, Auburn, North Carolina, Texas, Alabama, and Florida. We still got 8 more teams to slot here. We know who they are. Southern Miss, Florida State, and A&M are the next 3 for me.
Yes.
How do you want to slot those?
In that order for me.
Kendall?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Southern Miss. Can't type.
Southern Miss, Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Florida
A&M.
State and A&M side by side, I mean, it's pretty comparable.
Okay.
Florida State 12-11 against the field. A&M 11-7. One seed A&M is 6-7. Florida State sitting at. Wait, is that right? 0-8. I might go A&M ahead of Florida State.
Yeah, 0-8 against one seeds is
6-7 for A&M. I would go A&M Florida State.
Yeah.
Is that right? I want to double check this because it doesn't feel right. But
so it would be Georgia Tech. It would be they played North Carolina, right?
No.
No, they didn't play North Carolina. They played Florida.
Oh yeah,
so
that's 0-6 right
Florida.
there.
Yeah, you're right.
And yeah.
I don't know who the other one. Oh, Nebraska, they lost to an Auburn.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I would put A&M ahead. 0-8 versus 6-7. It's pretty substantial.
It is worth noting. Will any of us be surprised if Florida State winds up as like a top 8 seed? Worth noting, they have
the committee. A committee chairman would never do that.
The committee chairman is a Florida State representative, and so
right.
Listen, it's worth getting that out there.
Never
people get all upset every time we point this out and say you guys are implying there's misconduct. Listen, we've just been doing this a long time and we know how it works.
But he was out of the room, man.
Of course, he has to walk out of the room, so there's no way he could ever get to catch that.
So let me jump in here. Save you guys some stuff. So. And probably get myself in trouble.
Ed has had a long week in Hoover. He's about to let loose here.
So
I'm going to get a drink.
These athletic directors have busy jobs, okay? And those jobs as athletic directors, that's their primary responsibility. And they have to answer to the people when they come back to campus, right? So that's their primary job. This is a secondary role. It's very important, and they take it very seriously. And that job is to pick the best 64 fields and slot them appropriately. There are times when those jobs align perfectly and everything's great. And there are times when they're at odds. And that's when either the appearance of impropriety can come up, right? Even if it isn't, it looks that way. And when you lose that credibility with your audience, I mean, that's a problem, right? So I don't know what the solution is. I wish that we didn't have people who could, gain financially from their teams getting favored treatment. But that's what we have, and it's what we have in all sports, and we just tend to bitch about it and move on.
The solution is we need to not have people with vested interest in the outcome of the process determining the process. I mean, that's it. Whatever it's got to be some kind of independent body. But anyway,
it is worth noting. It is worth noting, by the way, that 3 of the teams we're sitting here talking about as a potential top 8 seed: Florida State Chairman Michael Alford, their athletic director; Florida athletic director Scott Strickland on the committee; Southern Miss athletic director Jeremy McClain on the committee. So it's just kind of a crazy scenario that all 3 of those guys, who, by the way, all 3 teams going for a top 8 seed, are all on the committee.
So so Texas and Alabama better look out.
Yeah, right.
I guess we'll find out who does a really good convincing job. Who's going to be a lawyer in the next life?
Yeah,
that is an interesting dynamic. You're right, because like all those teams are separated. They're 3 out of 4 here.
We'll see what you got.
Yeah. So that's interesting. But also worth noting one last thing here before we move on. We did see the committee defer to RPI when it came to Mississippi State versus Arkansas. And so I wonder, will they do that again if it comes to Florida State versus A&M? Now, again, I personally can't look past that difference in the record versus the 1 seeds. 0-8 is problematic for me,
especially as a 1 seed.
As a 1 seed, right? It's not like you're a bubble team. You're a 1 seed, and you have an 0-8 record against the other 1 seeds like that. That feels problematic. A&M being 6-7 against 1 seed is much more respectable. So I'm good with that order.
Okay. All right, so we have 5 more spots. We know who they are, but what order do we want them in? So the teams that we still need to talk about: Nebraska, Mississippi State, Oregon, West Virginia, and Kansas.
Let's see. I do like Kansas as a double champion. Feel pretty good about Oregon. in this range as well. The problem with Kansas, no, actually, I feel pretty good about Kansas here. I mean, the RPI is really the only issue,
Yeah,
right? It's a
it's
little bit
19.
lower. It's
Right.
19. Oregon, maybe a better balance with a 15 RPI. They're a little bit lower though in DSR and KPI. And of course, if you're again new to the show or just new to the process, we've got more than just RPI. Now we've got multiple metrics. We've got the in the DSR, which is this is the first year that's an official criteria. And also the KPI. So it's useful to kind of look at those three things to counterbalance each other. And in Oregon's case, they are lower in DSR at 18 and 25 in KPI. Kansas, 9 in DSR, 18 in KPI. So they've actually got a better average of the three metrics than Oregon does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Kansas.
I do too. The double champion helps.
Yeah.
Matters.
Yeah. Okay.
And beating West Virginia in the title game helped offset the fact that they got swept late. You know, it just combined with the double champions, and then you got a head-to-head win against West Virginia. Very useful for their seeding.
Mm-hmm. So with Oregon, I mean, they made it all the way to an extra innings of the big, the Big Ten tournament title today, and UCLA did what UCLA always does and come back and walk them off. It's
crazy.
But I do think Oregon has shown a lot of strength from an eye test standpoint. The metrics are solid. It's the concern is the 25 KPI. I mean, that's certainly an outlier. We've seen it where the committee will overlook an RPI, like with USC, for example. Where, and if all the other things look good, we'll just put that to the side. And I think this is an example where that applies to Oregon.
They also went 3-1, I believe, against Nebraska because they beat him in the conference tournament as well as well as the regular season series. So they definitely have to be ahead of Nebraska for me, even though Nebraska's higher in the RPI.
Yeah, let's go Oregon here.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. 3 teams: West Virginia, Mississippi State, Nebraska.
For me, I think I kind of like West Virginia, Nebraska, Mississippi State, but I don't know if that's how it's going to go. I mean, Mississippi State for me, again, like this record against 1 seeds is a metric I really like, Mark. And they're 5-14 against that. Nebraska, for what it's worth, 3-7, also not good. West Virginia, 3-1. All those games coming against Kansas.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's that is a small sample size, but it's something. I mean, if you're in the SEC, you get a lot of chances to play the other good teams, and if you go 5-14 against them, that doesn't really show me that much. But
so
West Virginia is actually higher in DSR and KPI than Mississippi State is. Barely. It's negligible, but I don't know. I just Q1 wins. Let's look at that. West Virginia 8-5.
Yeah.
Mississippi State 9-14 for Mississippi State. Nebraska 9-8. Yeah, I mean, I could see it being Nebraska, West Virginia, Mississippi State. I just I can't get on board with Mississippi State being higher than 16.
Okay.
What's the argument for them over those other teams?
Well, yeah, we had them 17 last night, so
right.
I'm good with 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then it's understanding how we want to break the tie here. West Virginia or Nebraska. You have Nebraska, whose RPI is 10. The other rating systems don't like them as much.
Right.
And then West Virginia, whose RPI is 16, and the other rating systems really like them. They're 10 and 11.
Yeah. Whereas Nebraska's 21-16, 21 DSR, 16 KPI.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards West Virginia here.
Me too. Kendall, you good with that?
Yep.
Okay. West Virginia, 14, and then 15 would be Nebraska.
Right. So just peeking ahead, should the favorites win, these would be your super regional matchups if this were the actual field. You'd have UCLA and Mississippi State. That would be a rematch of just a classic game from early in the year that was in Arlington.
That's right.
Georgia Tech would play Nebraska. Georgia would play West Virginia. Auburn would play Oregon. North Carolina would host Kansas. Texas would host Florida State. Alabama would host Texas A&M, and Florida would host Southern Miss.
Those are all neat.
Be some juicy ones. You have a couple of conference matchups, but I do think that would be compelling should that hold.
Yeah.
It won't.
A lot of new stuff. It won't. But
it won't.
They should just use our field. Our field's going to be great. I'm feeling good about it.
We're going to get there. So now let's seed. The other thing we'll point out is they're seeding through 32, 1 through 32 this year, and it's going to. So you're going to have 2 seeded teams in each region, right? There'll be the what has formerly been known as the one seed and the 2 seed, right? And you're going to have all these scattered out, and you'll get a good glimpse of what it looks like tomorrow. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to group pods, basically groups of 4 teams that aren't really in a particular order. So say, for example, we're going to pick the next 4 that would be 17 through 20, and 13, Oregon, would play one of those 4 teams, as would West Virginia, as would Nebraska, as would Mississippi State. But it's not going to be 16 versus 17, 15 versus 18, that sort of thing. The other thing to point out is teams within the same conference cannot be placed in the same regional. So that allows some flexibility, right? We'll also look at geography and those sorts of things as the field comes together. So the next group, certainly Arkansas would be top of mind for me. Any objections there?
No, put him in there.
And Ole Miss would also be in this next group for me.
Yeah, 17 RPI. What did they go? 15 and 16 aggregate SEC. Yeah, they're next. They're in here.
Right. So then I think maybe it's like Wake Forest would be in this group. Cincinnati, USC, Oregon State. Yeah.
Oregon State would be in this group for me.
Okay. Yeah, agreed. Which means, by the way, that if this were to hold, Oregon State could not be sent to Eugene.
Yeah.
We have.
Wait, they would.
I have that wrong.
Yeah.
They're in the Oregon is just barely in the last 4 hosts.
Just on the cut line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's see. So
we need one more.
Who did we say? I said Wake. Yeah.
Wake, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Oregon State.
Is Wake? Yeah.
Wake's got the RPI.
Yeah.
Right? So it's 20.
That's about all they have, but that's what they have.
Well, other than USC, which is kind of similar.
Yeah. They're basically the USC of the ACC.
I mean, in that being the case, do you go with USC because they're 11 spots better in the RPI?
I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's probably how I would lean. Like at some point, they're not going to go too much lower with the top 10 RPI team.
Right. And then the next group would be the other ones we mentioned. Who was it? It was Wake, and I put it in the wrong place, didn't I?
There you go.
Wake. And who's the other team? Cincinnati.
22
RPI.
RPI.
High. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of
13.
pulling the high RPI teams here.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
The next group may be Coastal.
Or so we had Coastal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a rough Coastal week in this group. They did have a rough week. They're 27th currently in the RPI. I wonder, has Jacksonville State passed them now, Mark?
Yeah, they're up to 24 in the RPI.
Yeah, so Jacksonville State's now got the
double
better RPI, double champion.
Coastal
is a neither champion. Yeah, let's do that indeed.
Okay. And then need one more in this pod.
Yeah. I think we could do, so let's see, we had Oklahoma State in this group, I believe.
I still like Oklahoma State.
We had Tennessee also in this group this morning. Compare those two. They're back-to-back in the RPI.
So the other thing to keep in mind is
Mhm.
this future pod is going
Yeah.
to have 3 SEC teams in it. So at
Right.
max, we can have 1. So
Right.
as long as it's just Tennessee, it's fine. But Oklahoma's sitting out there too.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee would be ahead of Oklahoma in the pecking order
would.
for me,
They would.
even though they're.
But they
looking
might
at-
be in the same quartet. Right.
Sure. Yep. Looking at Oklahoma State versus Tennessee. Gosh, I mean, they're like I said, they're back to back in the RPI. Tennessee is a couple, a little higher in DSR and KPI. Q1 is almost identical. They're very similar across the board. 1 seed records would be the advantage for Tennessee, 5 and 6 versus Oklahoma State 1 and 4.
Mhm.
So I guess I lean Tennessee here, which would probably be useful to have.
Yeah.
Have one SEC team in this group because we're going to have a bunch
where
more
you're
SEC teams probably coming.
being strategic. I like that.
Yeah.
So then Oklahoma State would be in the next group.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And the other contenders in this area, Virginia,
Yep.
Miami,
Arizona State.
Arizona State. I think Liberty and Louisiana could come into this discussion.
Okay.
Boston College maybe still hanging around here. UCF is in this discussion for a while.
So I put Arizona State, Miami. Are you good with that at this level, or do we want to consider?
Is that too rich for Arizona State? Is that too rich for Arizona State with a 45
Why is Virginia
RPI?
moving up? Why are we moving Virginia up from our last one that was 32 up to the 26 spot?
Yeah, I don't know why we would do that. Actually, I think that's too high for Virginia.
Too high. Okay.
And I don't know why Arizona State's that high. I'm just curious. 45 RPI.
What about Missouri State? That's a team that had a really good week. We had them 31 our last iteration.
So Missouri State versus Liberty is an interesting discussion.
Yeah, Missouri State's up to 23 in the RPI.
Right, which is kind of where they've been. They've been hanging in that same range all year.
Top 30.
Yeah. Have a road head-to-head series win over Liberty. They finished 1 game back of Liberty in the conference.
Liberty beat them this week, though, in the conference tournament, right? I believe.
Yes.
Gosh, it's been such a long week. I better make sure I got.
So they went 2-2.
Yeah,
but they have an RPI that's what 30.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Let's look at the other metrics though. The DSR and the
DSR does not like Missouri State. 48.
48.
Liberty.
Yeah,
5.
maybe it is.
Liberty's constant all the way across. I mean,
yeah.
So you like Liberty here? In this quartet?
Maybe. I'm just kind of talking through it here.
Okay.
So
the other options, I mean, Virginia would be down here. We could go ahead and slot them.
Okay.
Oklahoma would be another option. Although they didn't trend well late. Coastal.
I would go Coastal here. Yeah, I wouldn't drop them any further.
Okay.
So then we've got three 2 seeds left, assuming we're okay with Arizona State, Miami.
Yeah, can I go back to Arizona State? Why with a 45? I mean, there's a lot of things I like about that team, but with a 45 RPI, what's the rationale for moving them up here?
With Arizona State?
Yeah.
I mean, Arizona State finished 3rd in their conference in the number 4 RPI conference.
Okay.
19-11 overall.
We did have them here this morning too.
37-19 overall. Just kind of diving into them though. I mean, let's for the viewers.
They are better in KSR.
12-11 versus the field for Arizona State. Not bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By comparison, Louisiana 9-6. Who was another team that we mentioned?
Oklahoma.
Virginia, Oklahoma. Where's Oklahoma? Oklahoma
10-16 against the field.
10-16. Boston College, another team we had on the list this morning, 8-11. So yeah, I actually like Arizona State there. I think Arizona State is one of those cases in this field where the RPI is very deceiving.
All right, so Oklahoma State, Coastal, Arizona State, Miami would be this group. That's the third group of 4
that would play
seeds.
North Carolina through Florida. Yeah,
and that all works out correct. There's no conflicts with our conferences there. Okay,
and then 3 more 2 seeds after Virginia. So we've talked about most of them. Certainly Boston College, Louisiana, Liberty,
Missouri
Oklahoma,
State.
Missouri State. I think that's the group we're choosing from. I like Liberty here.
So you like Liberty over Missouri State?
I do. The other metrics helping out, not just RPI.
Good with that. I mean, they could both be in this group.
They could.
I actually would. I would punt Boston College.
BC did go. They went. Sorry, BC did go 17-13 in the regular season. So they lost their only ACC tournament game. So that's 17-14. It's a weak non-conference strength of schedule.
Yeah, 7-12
Q1, 8-11 versus the field, 1-5. Yeah, so it doesn't quite hold up as a 2 seed. I think you're right, Kendall.
It'll be one of the top 3s.
Yep.
So we have one spot left: Oklahoma, or BC, or Louisiana.
Yeah, those would be the candidates.
So the thing I like about Louisiana is the 9-6 against the field, and the 8-10 against Q1 and 10-5 against Q2. So that's 18-13 against the teams that you would play in a regional. Your quad 1 and 2.
Whereas Oklahoma is 7-13 Q1, and it would be 15-20 against Qs 1 and 2. 10-16 against the field. Yeah, I think I do lean Louisiana, Mark. I think they played their way all the way up to a 2 seed. Pretty good for a team that was really on the wrong side of the bubble for a while in the second half of the
year. Yeah. Okay. So that's our seeded teams 1 through 32. So normally we would go conference by conference and project conference automatic bids. And we don't have to do that except for we don't have to do it at all because the Mountain West just went final. Washington State.
Yeah, Washington State. How about the Cougs? First trip since 2010 for Nathan Show and the Cougs.
So we can go through and pretty quickly list our teams. We do need to decide if they're 3 or 4 seeds as we go through here and slot them in the field.
Sure.
So in the A10.
The A10. Congratulations to VCU, Coach Sean Thompson. Second season there as head coach. He led VCU to a super regional as a player, if you recall. I believe his freshman year in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And now he was also part of a coaching staff for VCU team as a pitching coach that went to regionals, and now he's leading them there as a head coach. Won 17 games last year. I think they won 37 this year and counting. So big turnaround story.
I want to say he's the youngest head coach in college baseball as well.
Would make sense. That would make sense. And also they had to really make a run to do it, winning multiple games in a day and things of that nature. It was impressive run.
They're going to be right on that 3-4 cut line. So I'm going to put them at the last 3 and then we'll adjust if needed.
Sure.
ACC.
So we've already got Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Florida State, Virginia, Wake Forest, and Miami in the field.
Yeah. Boston College would be in the field.
Yeah, they're a 3 seed. They're really on that 2-3 cut line, but just fall on the 3 side for us. Virginia Tech is the other one that I think is probably safely in here. They went 15-15 in the regular season. 43 RPI. Quad 1 is 17-13. Quads 1 and 2 are 15-18. They did also win a head-to-head series against NC State. They won a game in the conference tournament. They're clearly ahead of NC State in the pecking order.
Yeah.
I think they're probably just in, Mark. I mean, I don't know if you feel like bubble in or just in.
They're probably going to get in. The ACC is going to at least get that many. So I feel that's the way that the tea leaves read.
We can go ahead and put NC State and Pittsburgh in yellow on our sheet here. We will not yet add them to the field. These are going to be bubble teams. They're going to be interesting cases to discuss later in the show. We will come back to them.
Yep. The America East.
Yeah, Binghamton, double champions here, guys. They win the regular season by 2 games, and they finish the job by winning the automatic bid this week. So Binghamton heading to regionals. The American guys, East Carolina does it again, grinded it out, found a way to get that automatic. Another season that it felt like wasn't like a typical East Carolina season, but here they are. And they were kind of bubbly anyway. They probably would have gotten in anyway. But UTSA now moves on to that bubble. These were co-champions of the regular season. East Carolina and UTSA tied for the regular season. UTSA was the top seed in the conference tournament, however, won the head-to-head series. We'll get into their case later as well. I think UAB is just there's not going to be room for those guys. I think we can go ahead and put them in red.
Yeah, they had a great year, and we're in our field several weeks. Just weren't able to close the deal.
End of the day, finished with a 66 RPI, I believe. So just not there. On the ASUN Lipscomb guys, how about this one?
Yeah.
This was your gold division winner in the regular season. Well, co-champion with North Alabama, kind of a clumped leaderboard there. But they take the ASUN tournament, and they're headed to regionals. So with a 155 RPI, that's a 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
The Big 12 guys, we've got Kansas, Arizona State, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati already in our field as 1 or 2 seeds. UCF certainly in the field as a 3. Was in the discussion to be a 2 seed even. And then TCU would be one of those yellow teams, a bubble team for sure. That group right there, all the teams so far in yellow are really interesting bubble cases that could very well go either way. So we'll come back to that one as well.
Yep.
All right, the Big East is St. John's. The another double champion here, won the regular season in the Big East. Well, I guess it was tri-champions there. They tied with UConn and Xavier, but they won the series, I believe, against both those teams. And they also won the conference tournament this week. So St. John's heading back to regionals.
Yep. Down.
Okay, on to the Big South. St. John's, by the way, another 4 seed with a 102 RPI.
Mm-hmm.
Upstate takes the Big South, guys. This was not the favorite. They often are the favorite. It feels like the Big South, but not this year. This year they finished 13-11. They were tied for 3rd with Charleston Southern, but they take down this conference tournament. They beat Longwood, I believe, in the finals.
Yeah, they did.
High Point did not make the finals, which hurts certainly their at-large case, but it's still a 48 RPI. They do have that early season road series win at Florida, which not a lot of these mid-major bubble teams are going to be able to match. So they're on the board in yellow here, and we will come back to their case later on.
What's Upstate's RPI?
Upstate is
3 or 4?
It is 83.
It's
83, right on that.
So they're kind of on the cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's back-to-back trips in the postseason, by the way, for the Spartans. So nice job by those guys.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
Onward to the Big Ten. We already have, of course, UCLA, Nebraska, and Oregon as hosts. We have USC as a 2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got 2 bubble cases here with Purdue and Michigan. I'm not feeling terribly sanguine about either of them with RPIs of 53 and 54. Your quad ones here, it's 4-11 Michigan. It's 2-7 Purdue. I would have Michigan ahead of Purdue in the pecking order, even though Purdue finished 1 game ahead in the standings. We've kind of talked about the reasons why over the course of the season. I think Michigan's clearly ahead of Purdue. Ultimately, I don't know that there's going to be room for either of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
Should we put them both in yellow, or should we go Michigan yellow, Purdue red?
I would do the latter.
Okay, Michigan yellow is a bubble team. Purdue, I just don't think there's going to be room for both of these. And again, that as a Big Ten team with a 50s RPI and a 2-7 Q1, there just aren't enough quality wins there.
You've got to have something else at that RPI, right?
Yep. All right. Big West, Cal Poly is your It's funny to call it a stolen bid because this was our preseason pick and had a really good, wound up having a really good second half to get themselves. Cal Poly did. into this position. They're just playing great baseball. This is the team we thought they would be, and they had just a rough first half, but then they found it, which is kind of like something that seems to happen with Larry Lee's teams. They just tend to always play better in the second half, and so they're dangerous. UC Santa Barbara, however, is in the field as a 3 seed for us. They had been a 2 for a lot of the year. I mean, that's another one that could wind up being a 2 with a 38 RPI, I think, is where they're standing right now. I think that is a 3 seed.
And a dangerous one.
Yeah. So we didn't have a ton of stolen bids this year, but that is one right there.
We have 1 and perhaps 2.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. So the next, we've got Conference USA. We got 3 teams already in the field. Jacksonville State, Liberty, Missouri State.
Yep.
So nothing really to talk about here.
Locked in there.
So we go to the CAA.
Northeastern guys takes it down. This weird structure in this league with your Northern Division, your Southern Division. They didn't really play each other. Northeastern did win their half. They didn't play Campbell or Charleston or UNCW until the conference tournament. And lo and behold, Northeastern is still a force, as they reminded us here. They lose their first game of the tournament against Hofstra and then win 4 in a row against Wilmington, Hofstra, and then Campbell twice. The automatic bid here. So Northeastern heading back to regionals, this time with an 88 RPI, which makes them maybe on that 3-4 cut line. We'll see. Campbell, guys.
They would be ahead of St. John's.
Campbell winds up with a 60 RPI. I believe that's what we're at. 60. It's 49 DSR, 72 KPI. They did win the regular season in that league, but it's just 2-4 Q1. I don't think a Big South team with a 60 RPI and a 2-4 record against Q1, like as great years they had, it's just they're unfortunately they're just not on the board. It's the reality of life in that a league with that profile.
Correct.
And of course, last year, that was several years in the past, CA has been a multi-bid league or has been in the discussion to be multi-bid league. Maybe the ADs ought to not mess with your schedule and let all the teams play each other like the coaches want to, and maybe you won't be in this position. Just a thought. Get it together. Onward.
Not directed at anyone.
You just no one. It's not directed at anyone except for the idiot ADs who voted against the coach's wishes, and you just screwed your league out of an extra bid. So congratulations on that. Onward to the horizon.
Milwaukee.
Listen, formerly known as the Wright State Athletic League, no longer known as the Wright State Athletic League. Milwaukee finishes second in the regular season and takes down the conference tournament. So Milwaukee.
Fifth trip for the Panthers. First since 2010.
All right, the Ivy, we had Yale already in the field, punched their ticket earlier.
Yep.
One more time for the money, you guys. Shall we? Let's go. The match.
All right, that's good.
That is my.
That's the last time, guys. The last time. Allegedly, we're changing the name of the league next year, which is an even bigger outrage than the CAA's scheduling snafu. How can you change the name?
Maybe since this has caught on so much, maybe they'll just keep it because of us.
Maybe, yeah. Let
I
me
like
bully
adding
you
another
doing the right
A.
thing. Yeah, let's do it. Just go all in. Lean into it.
The Metro Action Athletic.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking development.
Actually.
But Ryder.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. The Ryder Bronx, guys. Double champs here in the MAC. Won the league by 2 games and then won the conference tournament as well. So they are heading to regionals. Congrats to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mid-American Conference is an interesting one. This is almost always, not even almost, it's always a one-bid league, but they have multiple contenders for at-large spots here. You had Northern Illinois take the automatic bid with a 78 RPI. So they had a good year. Kudos to them. They weren't going to be an at-large team, so they needed to win the automatic bid. But they did have a good year, and they're a good club with some interesting pitching. So they're in the field. But then you've got 2 teams that are on the board as bubble teams with Miami, Ohio, and Kent State. Now they're probably both going to wind up outside when we do the math here ultimately. But it's worth noting. I mean, Miami, Ohio, 45 RPI. very good for a MAC team. Won the regular season, which counts for something. Went 4-6 against Q1. Problem is that 0-2 showing in the conference tournament really kind of hurt him.
Killed
I think.
him. It killed him.
And then you got Kent State, who they've got, like we talked about, High Point having a good series win against a marquee opponent. A road series win at Tennessee early this year stands out if you're Kent State. If just a game out of first, they went 2-2 in the conference tournament. They also beat Miami, Ohio once in the conference tournament. So that makes them 2-2 on the year against Miami, Ohio. For me, even though Kent State has a lower RPI at 50, I like them actually above Miami, Ohio on the pecking order, just based on, again,
the Tennessee series.
The Tennessee series and the better showing this week when you're playing for your season. I think that matters too. So I would opt for Kent State in yellow.
Okay.
Miami probably in red in that case, if we agree on the pecking order, because they're not going to get 3 bids for sure. Okay.
We did. Yeah. Missouri Valley. So Illinois Chicago won this, right?
That's right. The Flames did indeed. This is one of the last ones decided. The top seeded Flames, they won another double champion here. Won the regular season by game over Murray State and Indiana State, and now they're heading to regionals as the automatic qualifier with a 227 RPI mark. So that's a 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. It's one bid league. All right, we talked about the Mountain West is Wazoo takes down top seeded San Diego State here.
First trip since 2010.
Congratulations to the Cougs. All right. Northeast Conference, the top seeded Sharks of Long Island, double champs, guys. They went 26-7 in the regular season, win that league by a game over Fairleigh Dickinson. Kendall, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're feeling right now.
We had a good bit.
Yeah, we did.
Well, it was fairly.
It was. It was just an okay bit.
There's always next year.
It's always next year.
They were treated unfairly.
That's their motto. Always next year.
Okay, on to the Ohio Valley Conference, where
Little Rock.
Thank you. That's
it.
Came
Little
out of
Rock
nowhere. Takes it once
just
again.
Like last year.
Yeah, last year they were seeded, do you think, even lower? They barely got into the conference tournament. This year, I believe they were the 4 seed. But yeah, Chris Curry's boys just have a knack for getting it done when it matters.
Mm-hmm.
So they're headed back to the postseason, where I think they'll be dangerous. This was a team we did like heading into the year, and they have postseason experience. They've, a lot of those guys were on that team that made some noise in Baton Rouge, and 89 RPI. That's probably a 4 seed that you don't want to see.
Right.
You may have heard, friends, that the pride of Worcester County is headed back to regionals. That's your Holy Cross Crusaders, my Holy Cross Crusaders.
He has been hard to deal with since that result came in.
Oh boy. Listen, we don't have a lot going for us.
You're acting holier than thou.
We don't have a lot going for us in Worcester County. We got the Crusaders. Hey,
Aaron is the most holy person on the staff.
So holy. All right. Congratulations to the Satyrs. Another championship for Holy Cross. Let's go to the SEC here. We've got a lot of SEC teams already in the field as 1 or 2 seeds. I think Oklahoma would be the one that is next in as a 3 seed.
Yep, they would be.
And then we would have Kentucky as a bubble team. Vanderbilt is not a bubble team. They can go red. Vanderbilt, with the longest active regional streak, will come to an end this year.
All right. RPS 72, if you're wondering why.
Yeah.
Well, Vanderbilt is not getting in after winning 14 SEC games this year.
Did a very poor job of the non-conference. Just really, very just kind of shot themselves in the foot right from the get-go. All right, on to the SoCon, where the Citadel was the big story this week. They looked awesome.
They did.
A lot of that tournament, and they're playing great ball. They went 11-10 the regular season. Finished 5th, I believe. but I mean, the RPI is up to 41, guys. I mean, incredible, the turnaround job there. Mercer would be on the board as a bubble team.
Yeah.
It's a great RPI. That's really the selling point. Is it's a 28 RPI and it's a regular season champ, which matters. The combination of those two things is going to make them an interesting case as we move forward. Mark, you wrote about their, I thought, very well in today's bracketology post, but there's other weaknesses there that we'll get to. 1-4 against Q1 being the primary weakness, but regular season champ, 44-15 overall with a 28 RPI like that. It might be as simple as that. That might be enough to get them in. We'll get to it. For now, they're yellow. Western Carolina is red, 65 RPI. Had a really good year. They were in the mix, but ultimately fell short. So we'll go to the Southland here. We've got Lamar, finished second place in the regular season. They win your automatic bid. 90 RPI. It's probably a 4 seed, but maybe, I don't know where we stand there. Could wind up being a 3.
Right. A lot of teams got in that 80 to 90 range, which was kind of weird because that has not been what we've been projecting.
Right. That happens. It's just, conference tournament week. We're going to get some of that.
It's chaotic.
Yeah.
First trip since 2010 for the Cardinals.
Yeah. How about that? They feel like they've had some close calls, and so some good teams and didn't get in. So good to see them.
Yeah, Will Davis stock is rising there as head coach.
No doubt. Okay, on to the Summit League. And Oral Roberts gets upset here.
How about that?
Jackrabbits, South Dakota State. They will be a 4 seed, 239 RPI. They went 20-31 overall. You could probably book your trip to Los Angeles, I'm guessing. I think that's going to be the weakest of the 4, I think, or up there. One of the weaker 4 seeds. Anyway, they're in the field. Congrats to them. They played well when it mattered.
Okay.
Sun Belt. We have 3 teams in the field already. Southern Miss, Coastal Carolina, Louisiana. And then we've got Troy and Texas State to talk about.
Right.
These are both bubble teams. I think Troy's ahead of Texas State at this point.
Agreed.
35 RPI for Troy. Played one of the toughest schedules in the country. Managed to finish above 500. I like where they're at more than I liked it last night when we met, even though they lost today.
Yeah.
The
strength of schedule
of it.
And we can get into this when we talk to them, but their strength of schedule 6th in the country. I mean, the teams ahead of them are all SEC and Florida State. I mean, for Sun Belt, it's really hard to have to schedule that well. Yep. It's kind of over scheduling, if you will.
Yeah. So there, we'll get to them in more detail, but Texas State, I'm worried about. I don't think we're going to have room for Texas State in our field, but we can put them in yellow for now and keep them on the board. I think that probably feels like the play.
Okay.
It's for 43 RPI, 42.
Yeah. 42. Yeah.
Yeah. The other stuff is a little light, but we'll get to that. 6-11 Q1. They've got some nice wins also. So we'll get to them later. Maybe there's a chance here. Onto the SWAC, Alabama State, the 2 seed, had a good year. 165 RPI. Not bad for a SWAC champ. Actually, a better RPI than the top seed Bethune-Cookman, 178. So, but that's a 4 seed, a frisky 4 seed, I dare say. And to the WAC, Tarleton is double champion.
Yep.
They won that league the regular season. It's a 56 RPI, guys. That's definitely a 3 seed. Yep. Yeah. They swept through the conference tournament, beating Sac State twice and also Cal Baptist. So congratulations to Tarleton.
Yeah, Fuller Smith, another rising kind of younger coach in the industry.
And finally, the West Coast Conference, where St. Mary's repeats as champions. Eric Valenzuela getting it done. They were the 3 seed heading into it, I believe. And Gonzaga, the top seed, winds up with a 57 RPI. St. Mary's with a 140 RPI, so that's a 4 seed. Gonzaga, I don't think we're going to have room for. We can put them on the board for now. 57 RPI, 2 and 5 Q1. I don't think that's going to.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same situation. Yeah, it's kind of like we talked about a couple of the other teams that are in that boat. It's just not going to get there.
So that's how many bubble teams? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
4 spots.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
For 4 spots.
4 spots.
It will be painful.
What happened to our soft bubble, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Kendall's always every year, right up until about Thursday or Friday. Kendall's like, "Oh God, this is the softest bubble ever. I can't. It's gonna be so easy." And then, lo and behold, here we are.
Chaos happens.
He falls for the trap every year.
It's easy to do.
Yeah. All right, so this is going to be interesting. I don't know where to start.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So when we're trying to decide between bubble teams, usually what I do is I try to find something that stands out, some kind of differentiator in either direction. It could be positive or negative, and see how that, why is it a differentiator? Why does that stand out? And then weight that against some of the other differentiators that others have, right? So if we go through this exercise and try to rate these teams, compare these teams to each other based on those strengths, those weaknesses, pros, cons, however you want to call it. And I do think that we need to either try to limit this 11 by eliminating a few of them that we feel are not going to be enough, or maybe there's one that we feel really strongly about and we eliminate them by adding them, right? And drop 11. 11 is too many to compare to each other, but if we can drop that group, then I think it'll be more successful.
Yep. All right, so let's start with this. I think there's a couple that I could probably take off the board. Well, I say that and I look at them. I mean, ultimately, I think Texas State, Michigan, High Point, and probably Kent State all feel like they're going to come up a little bit light for me. I think those would be 4 that I would probably take off the board, unless you guys disagree.
I wouldn't dispute those. Those would be at the bottom of my list.
Kendall, Texas State, Kent State, Michigan, High Point.
Yeah, I would have Texas State at the top of that list, though.
Yeah. But would you put them ahead of any other teams that are still on the board?
Yeah, make a case.
I mean, I still kind of like them more than Mercer, honestly.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
So with Mercer, certainly the RPI is the great big blinky light that we're all looking at. Is that enough? Because once you look past it, you've got your conference title, but not a whole lot else. One of the things, if you're a mid-major, that the committee has told you for years is that you need to go out and play people in non-conference.
Correct.
Right? So, and it's not just to build the RPI, it's so we can evaluate you against the teams that are playing those kinds of competition, right? Because Mercer went out and has a really gaudy Q4 record. They've done great. They did not lose. They lost one game. It's like 27-1 or something like that. Yeah. So they did great against those teams. But that didn't tell me how good you are. What I need is to stack you up against the better teams, the teams like these or even better than these, so I can understand how you're going to play in a regional.
Worth noting, Mercer against regional type teams, they're 6-7 against the field, and Texas State's 8-11. So,
but if you look at the seeds, there's some 4-seed fluffer in there.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, Texas State, by the way, 20 non-conference to schedule. Mercer 2-18. That matters as a mid-major.
Mercer just 1-4 against Q1 games. Texas State 6-11. Q1 and 2 combined, Texas State 11-14.
Mm-hmm.
Mercer is 10-13. So kind of comparable on those, but more of Texas State's are in Q1 than Mercer's. So yeah, basically what it comes down to is this. You've got a 44 win team that won its regular season and
Right.
has a 28 RPI. Like that's the case for Mercer.
100%. And traditionally, I mean, honestly, you don't have a team from a league outside that group that has an RPI that high, unless they're just, that they did a whole lot in non-conference. And so it's sort of I don't know, it's one of these cases where you look at the RPI and you go, it doesn't match the rest of the work.
However, before we dismiss Mercer, worth noting that they played a head-to-head series against fellow bubble team Troy. Now, it was in week 1, which is 100 years ago, but nonetheless, Mercer won 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
they won 2 out of 3. So that's
walked it off
data.
on Friday. Yeah,
it's a data point that can't be ignored. That said, I mean, I think Troy's resume is a lot better than Mercer's at this point, even though they're, only
Troy,
over 500.
Troy number 3 non-conference strength of schedule.
Yeah.
I would have Troy. I would have those 2 Sun Belt teams ahead of Mercer for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, what kind of message are that's I guess the one question is, gosh, I mean, the committee puts so much stock in RPI every year, and then it's like it feels like the SEC teams and the ACC teams benefit from that every year. But when you got a mid-major team that wins its league and has a RPI in the 20s and they don't get in, it's just kind of a weird double standard. But but also Mercer, they went 1-2 in the conference tournament. I mean, not a great showing at the end of the year. And listen, the lack of quality wins is just you can't sugarcoat it. They just they have the one midweek win against Georgia Tech, and they have the Troy series back in week 1. Now, I mean, the league was solid this year, and they did a good job in their league. They won a lot of their series. They made a trip to Oregon State and they got swept, which probably helped them in the RPI because we're all road games.
Right.
But like, that doesn't do anything for me. They did win a series against the Citadel early in the year. There is, Wofford was a good club. They swept those guys. Samford was a pretty good club. They took 2 out of 3 on the road there. Like, so there is stuff here. I don't want to dismiss it just because there's not like a lot of wins against regional teams.
So that they can continue to stay in this group is just what Texas State can as well, as Kendall mentioned.
Well, we got to start eliminating some teams, and for me, we got to cut somebody here. I
mean, Pittsburgh would be behind Texas State and Mercer.
So the argument for Pitt is I mean, there's a bunch of stuff here. First of all, you wound up with a 39 RPI, which is better than a number of these other teams, TCU, UTSA, NC State. It's Texas State. It's top 40 RPI. They only won 11-19 in the regular season in the ACC, which is not excellent. But they made a run in the conference tournament, to get to 14-20 aggregate in the league, which is more respectable, more in line with what Kentucky did, 13-18 aggregate in the SEC, right?
Almost.
But Pitt also played the 3rd hardest schedule in the ACC, whereas Kentucky played the 16th hardest. In fact, another way to say that would be the easiest schedule in the SEC.
Also true.
So that's, for me, like I like Pitt ahead of Kentucky. The Q1 wins, Pitt has more, 10-13 versus 7-8. Kentucky has more wins against the field, 15-9 versus 9-13. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just we're going to go around in circles on this stuff. This is the part that's going to take a while.
So again, it doesn't matter what you like. It matters what the committee likes. Okay, so we we talk about this when we talk about Kentucky. It's the historical trends, right? 13 and 17. And every year we do this and we kick out that Florida team or we kick out that Kentucky team, and then they're not even in the last four.
But does it make a difference?
I would like to not do that this year.
But does it make a difference that this time around it's 13 and 18 and they play the easiest schedule in the league? They won two series. I mean, I'm just, right? Well, but like I have a feeling in past years that 13-win team didn't also have the easiest conference schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Mark.
Last year they didn't. Certainly they didn't last year. Kentucky played a more challenging schedule a year ago.
Yeah, I mean Kentucky had a better case last year,
both in non-conference and in conference.
Yeah,
right. The case for Kentucky is they won the Alabama sweep that trumps anything any of these bubble teams have done, and then the other thing would be being able to win some games. They didn't get swept, right? Yep. They did win some games against these teams. They were competitive, all right, where just about everybody else here has been thumped. So again, that's not real compelling, but it's also not nothing.
Right. That's fair. Well, I don't know where that leaves us.
Yeah, right.
I mean, let's start with this. I mean, I still think I would have TCU in.
So I don't know.
Based on what? Because I look at that resume and I am not impressed.
On TCU?
No.
Yeah, I mean, they finished.
There's a whole lot of not good, not bad. It's kind of there.
Yeah.
It's so 17 and 13 in the Big 12, which is tied for sixth
with Cincinnati.
And then there's a big gap between them and the rest of the league. 3-game gap between those two teams and the next two teams. So there is, they kind of did finish in that top half. It's a 46 RPI.
Right.
Now, if you start to go through and look for the good weekends, it's the first week of the season at Shriners. They beat Arkansas.
Real good.
And they beat Vanderbilt, who is not, it turns out, a regional, because that winds up not helping them very much. Lost Oklahoma. So 2-1 against SEC teams the first weekend. Got swept at UCLA. And then if you're looking for another series win against a regional team, guys, you're not going to find one because they didn't win a series against a regional team this year, which to me is problematic.
Yeah, that's true.
Like 0 series wins against a regional team. So
I would have NC State as one of my last 4 teams here, and again, Mark just kind of mentioned it. We're thinking of this as a committee, and if you have a bubble team with a coach who's retiring, like, they're going to get in. The Jim Morris situation obviously happened, but other than that, I mean,
Miami did not have as good a case as State has this year. Now that said, State's case is shaky. I mean, it's a
definitely shaky.
51 RPI, 50 RPI. That's shaky for an ACC bubble team. But
no doubt.
The non-conference strength of schedule 244, problematic. 5 and 11 against Q1. Not awesome, but 11 and 15 against the field is better. But here's their main selling point is it was 14 wins in the ACC, 14 and 17 aggregate if you count their ACC tournament loss in the ACC, and they played the second hardest schedule in the league. And so again, like, compare that to Kentucky, which went 13 and 18 against the easiest schedule in the league. I like State's case more than Kentucky's for that reason.
So let's look at what NC State's best wins here.
Yeah, so the series wins against Miami and Boston College. We're both 2 seeds. And also
2 and 3. Yeah.
2 and 3, right? Yeah, BC got bumped down to a 3 at the end. But I mean, it's non-regional teams. They swept Notre Dame, took 2-3 from Duke, and I think those are their series wins. So they won 4 series in the league, but it's they didn't lose a series to Missouri, though. Like, they won their series against the bottom end teams.
Other than Stanford.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with Kentucky. And if we were just looking at resumes and this was Mark's field and Aaron's field and Kendall's field, I wouldn't have NC State or Kentucky in.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
But that's not the exercise.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point.
So
I like NC State in. I like Troy in. If we're just kind of,
okay.
I just think Troy with the
I
overall,
like Troy's high end wins, and I like that number 2 in C or in SOS.
Yeah, and to get their way into the top 35 of the RPI,
and it rewards the effort to go out and be bold.
Yeah, I mean, and as Mark said, not only is it a robust non-conference strength schedule, but it's number 6 overall strength of schedule. And they did go 17-13 in their league, and they had to really fight to get there. They were fighting it for a good chunk of the year. They were below 500 until I don't know the final month, and then they scratched and clawed. And I just think that they should be in.
All right, let's make them green.
Okay.
So they're 2 of our last 4. We have 2 spots
with Troy and NC State in.
So we're looking at Texas State, Mercer, Kentucky, TCU, UTSA, Pittsburgh.
That's it. Still a lot of teams for 2 spots.
I will say this. I don't love Kentucky's resume, but we had them 3rd off the line going into today.
No, well,
and nobody behind them did anything to go ahead of them.
Yeah, we're just trying to, as we said earlier, we're trying to take a fresh look at it, which is why we had Troy lower too today. Like we had Troy outside the field this morning.
No, we had Troy the last team in this morning.
Did we? Oh, my bad.
Well, they came in when East Carolina got the auto.
Got it. Yeah, so they were outside the field, and then when East Carolina got the auto, they moved up because UTSA fell behind them.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, we're looking at this with fresh eyes. Maybe Kentucky is one of the answers, but I don't think it's Texas State. I just think with their combination of,
if I'm putting my committee hat on, when in doubt, the power teams get these last spots. We see it year in, year out.
Unless there's
a valid reason, right? Unless
we've seen TCU, for instance, get snubbed before, which is not a reason
no doubt.
Not a reason to say that they should be snubbed again, but it can happen.
Yeah. And that was probably a bigger surprise than this one.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like the last time they got snubbed, we were all really surprised.
It was a legit snub.
Yeah.
Not just a.
This time, there's not a lot of actual meat on their resume, and it's like, again, I mean, all the other teams we're talking about have won series against regional teams. I think mostly. I mean, maybe not Mercer. We talked about Mercer, right? Do they have a series win against a regional team?
No.
Troy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they sure did the first series.
So even they have that one.
Mm-hmm.
UTSA has a series win over ECU.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. In the analyzing the cut lines, you can see the notable wins and losses. In there. So if you're following along, you can check that as well and use it tomorrow as you do your own field, do your own bracketology.
Yep.
Try to do better than we did.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't love it, but at least Kentucky has a series win over that series sweep over Bama,
which is
loud. Tennessee as well.
Yep.
Yeah, Tennessee.
But it's also you got 10 bites at the apple in that league, and you're gonna win some games. I hope
it's not about resume though.
Yeah,
it's really not in this case. Some of them it is. I don't think this. I think this would be a lead pick.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go back over UTSA's case before we move any further because I don't want to give them short shrift. 50. What do we say? 51 RPI. All right. Co-champions in the American. Here's some of their good weekends that I like. Well, they swept South Dakota State, who wound up being a champion. And
who knew that was going to be a big win?
Yeah, who knew? And they beat UIC, so their first 4 games were all against regional teams. Beat UIC midweek, swept Dallas Baptist, which not a regional team, but a solid enough series sweep. The Bruce Bolt Classic in Houston, they beat Coastal Carolina, also Baylor and Ohio State, both of whom wound up being solid enough teams.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of solid, it's like a lot of solid wins. And then the series win against East Carolina is kind of the other highlight for them. That was at home. They took 2 out of 3 there. And, like I said, I think they were 1-1 Texas State also midweek. 1-1 against East Carolina in the conference tournament, but lost the last one that really mattered. So it's an interesting case there. But I mean, that's like outside the top 50 for a mid-major, which the American is. It's a good mid-major, but it usually doesn't happen for that team outside the top 50 in a league like that.
Would agree.
They do have the regular season championship, which so does Mercer. I like UTSA's wins a lot more than Mercer's wins. I mean, UTSA also not a lot of Q1 wins. Was it 3-3, I believe?
Yeah, 3-3.
3-3. 10-8 against Qs 1 and 2. Mercer 10-13 against Qs 1 and 2. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could go round and round on this, guys. It sounds like you both think Kentucky gets in. I know Mark does.
Yeah,
Mark didn't want to get.
I mean, I don't love it at all, but I think they get in. Yes, if I'm thinking like the committee typically thinks.
I'm concerned that the committee is going to look at this one a little differently because I think they're going to be aware of the fact that they played because they're paying more attention now to intra-conference strength of schedule than they used to. Yep. Because you have to with these super conferences, you have to look at who you play. You can't just look at the conference record and say automatically all 13 wins, 30 something RPI they're in. Like you have to look at how they got to those 13 wins. You didn't used to because you used to be more of a round.
And they did last year.
They did.
We gave them credit. They really they nailed that part. Yep.
And so I think Kentucky's a tough sell, and I think they may punish them for it. But on the other hand. Usually that SEC team does get the benefit of that.
I've had my hand slapped 2 years in a row. So
my vote. Yeah.
So I would probably go Kentucky and TCU just based on the politics in the room. But I don't feel real confident in it.
Yeah. TCU again with a 46 RPI at a 6-12 Q1 and no series wins against regional teams versus even like a Pitt, which has a better RPI and a 10-12, a 10-13 Q1, like more good wins.
Would be a 7th Big 12 bid.
Yeah. I mean, TCU is really just kind of a conference pick, is what it is.
Now we're seeing that.
But I kind of like UTSA. Gosh, it's just that RPI. It's really just let's look at the other metrics. UTSA in DSR is 38.
Yeah, that helps.
45 in KPI. So TCU kind of comparable. 34 DSR. 43 KPI. Mercer, 28 RPI, 44 DSR, 51 KPI. So their average is kind of lower, closer to those other teams. And then Texas. Let's go ahead and take Texas State off the board for now. We need to take somebody off the board.
So Kentucky, Mercer, TCU, UTSA, and Pittsburgh. I don't think Pittsburgh's getting in.
No.
Yeah, ultimately, probably just short again. Does TCU not being healthy, is that a factor?
It can be.
being out, and
well, certainly that they have that information, and that's actually part of the criteria listed is any injuries of people who were injured early in the year and come back, or the Dax Whitney situation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. All right, so
that does dissuade me a little bit from TCU.
If that were the case, it would leave us with Pitt, UTSA, and Mercer, which I assume it sounds like Kentucky's in. It sounds like if you guys both vote Kentucky in, then my vote
I think
matter.
they're getting in.
Okay.
We had them in earlier, and I kind of think really the same exact reasons.
Yep. I will dissent here on the record. I think the committee this year is going to say, no, that interconference strength of schedule, that conference record combined with that interconference strength of schedule does not equal an at-large bid. But I mean, we've been wrong on these, like you said, a couple years in a row with these 13-win SEC teams. So I'm prepared to defer to you guys on this one.
We might be wrong again, but we'll be wrong in a different way. Right?
Yep.
So, okay.
We expect the Nerdmaster General to be perfect.
No, far from it.
So we have Troy, NC State, Kentucky. We've got one spot with Pitt, UTSA, TCU, and Mercer left.
Yeah. So the things
I mean, do we all agree Pitt is probably not getting in over those three teams?
I do.
Yeah, okay. Then that being the case, my vote doesn't matter, so we'll go ahead and make them red.
Poor Fitzy. Mark and I have created our own voting block.
That's right.
Yeah.
You should have.
Well, we're going to vote you off the island.
I like, out of these teams, I like UTSA's quality wins the best, series wins and such. But Mercer does again have the series win against Troy very early, and some other kind of solid wins that also fall into that solid category, which UTSA also has.
Right. Part of me just can't get past a top 30 RPI conference champion getting left out. Right. And I know we've talked about everything else, but part of me just.
Yeah, I think that's actually where I wind up coming down. I do wonder if UTSA has a little extra cachet because they were in a super last year.
Yeah.
And then again, a co-champion in their league, but at RPI, typically push comes to shove, I do feel like that RPI gap is significant. They both were regular season champions. American's a better league, but
SoCon was 7th. So
yeah, not actually, that actually back to back, right?
Right. It was much better than.
SoCon had a good year this year.
I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. And I you know what? I think I'm coming around on that. I think Mercer winning the number 7 RPI league, and having a 28 RPI. I bet you the committee falls back on that. I think I would go Mercer here.
Go Mercer.
Which
Kendall?
I mean, again, it feels cruel for TCU to get snubbed again, just like it feels very cruel for Pitt to come so close and get snubbed. I mean, and UTSA having the year that they had, I know they deserve to be in. I get it.
The other thing I would point out on Pitt, and this may just be anecdotal, but Arkansas had a Pitt type run in the SEC tournament and was not rewarded for it. If they'd have lost the game, they'd basically have the same. Lost the first game, they basically have the same seed. That's what we're expecting them to get, right? So, I don't know that you're going to be able to make up for the first 14 weeks with 1 week unless you win the auto. You can help, but in both cases, you have a long way to go.
Yep. Fair. Well, it'll be interesting. I feel like this is actually a more challenging bubble than usual. We'll talk about this later, but let's go Mercer as our last team in. So UTSA and TCU would be next 4. UTSA, TCU, Pitt, right? And then Texas State, I believe, would be team 68.
Let's see. Yeah, UTSA, TCU, Pitt, Texas State. Is there anybody else in that? Michigan would probably be in that next group, 69.
Yeah, 4 more. Michigan,
Yep.
69, I would agree.
Kent State.
Kent State, liked their case.
And then
High Point, maybe High Point even
High Point
should maybe High Point even
Purdue?
higher.
Yeah, High Point Purdue maybe.
Yeah,
Who's
or Gonzaga.
am I
High Point
supposed
Gonzaga.
to be typing this in?
I'm doing it.
Oh, you're okay.
High Point Gonzaga maybe, or Purdue. Who do you like, Gonzaga or Purdue?
Let's go Zags.
Okay. So there you go.
They've won their league, right?
Yeah, that's right. Last 4 in: Troy, NC State, Kentucky, Mercer. We had a hard time with this tonight, as you could all tell.
Mm-hmm.
Next 4: UTSA, TCU, Pittsburgh, Texas State. 4 more: Michigan, Kent State, High Point, Gonzaga. All right. So we're going to keep rolling here because people want to have expressed that on this Selection Eve show, they want to see us slot the field.
Okay.
So, Mark, are we ready to dive right into that, or do you want me to stall for a second?
Yeah, give me a little prep time here.
Okay.
Maybe give your final thoughts on the field while I set this up.
Yeah. Well, I'll continue here. Like I said a minute ago, I think this has been more difficult than usual. I feel like usually when we get to maybe I'm misremembering, but usually when we get to the final projection, I feel like we have a lot more confidence in who we're going to put in those last couple of bids. And this year, gosh, it's just, Mark always calls it a beauty pageant, and it's just kind of what is attractive to you. And, and again, our exercise here is trying to anticipate what the committee's going to do. And I worry sometimes that we, by doing it that way, that we're giving the committee cover to act in a way that we think they shouldn't. And we can have that discussion another time if we need to change our process to what we think the field should look like. But that's not what this exercise is about. This exercise is trying to predict what the field's going to look like. That's why we have Kentucky in the field. And, Mark made it clear, like NC State's case is shaky too, but we think those teams get in. And, but really, it comes down to you've got great RPI teams. You've got like Mercer, and Troy has a good RPI and a good strength of schedule. But then you've got other teams that like power conference teams that have, a lot of losses in the league, but their RPIs are where they are. And it's just, how do you balance all this stuff? Everybody thinks they deserve to be in. We've all heard from coaches of probably most of these teams saying, hey, we're definitely in, right? We deserve to be in. Can you make a push for us? Like, listen, like you guys saw it. There were 4 spots available, and there were at least 8 teams or more, 10 teams, 12 that like had viable cases. And we can't argue for all of you. The math doesn't math. Right. We did our best here. Kendall, what do you got? Kendall desperately trying to find the mute button. He's working hard at it. I appreciate that. He's not going to find it on. Poor guy. Mark, you got anything to say?
Yeah, I think part of this is trying to understand the balancing act between what we think is going to happen and what we would do, because it's a mixture, right? We're all human. We're going to have our allegiances and our things that we value more than others and things we prioritize, and all of these things come into this exercise just like it does for the committee. So that's part of what makes this interesting, because if we each did individual fields, they would turn out much different. But when we have to come together and collaborate and bounce ideas off each other, we find blind spots, we find things we didn't think about, and we learn. And I think that's kind of the beauty of this process.
Yeah, I think for me, sorry, I was on mute earlier. I think for me, as you kind of look at the field, I kind of go back to you guys kind of picking on me about me saying there's a soft bubble. It kind of gives you a peek behind the curtain of how difficult it is for these committee members. We talked about how for some of these committee members, they have to go back and kind of answer for their decisions. And, in some of these cases, like the Kent State athletic director is on the committee. he has to go back and answer why, maybe a second MAC team doesn't get in. So it just kind of goes to show once you get 11 teams for 4 spots, I mean, you could literally, we went back and forth for 20 minutes. You could literally just go back and forth for 5 hours about all those teams.
Right. So if you want, we'll go ahead and slot these teams and build a field. Just scroll down a little bit on the screen, and you'll see where we're setting up the seeds 1 through 4 are on the left, and then on the right is where we're going to put the field. You see your one seeds are already slotted based by host, and then these bottom group here, so 13 through 16, they're going to play one of these, right? They're going to play one of these: Arkansas, Ole Miss, Oregon State, or USC. So obviously teams in the same conference can't play each other, so that limits us. So I kind of like the Oregon State matchup.
It's just a no-brainer, frankly.
Oregon State fans can travel to it, up the gate. There's just a lot.
There's no reason for any fans to complain about that matchup. It's just it's easier it's better for attendance, better for the regional if you make it easy for fans to get there from the other team, and also it's just they match up competitively and it saves costs. Like, it's just a absolute no-brainer.
Yep. And this one's kind of juicy as well. I'm sending Arkansas to Lincoln in the Dave Van Horn Bowl.
Yeah.
They can also drive to it, right? It's not a flight.
Sure.
So, and then, we are sort of limited here because Ole Miss can't go to Mississippi State, so they would have to go to Morgantown. Then that leaves USC for Mississippi State. Okay.
Easy peasy.
So then this next group, quartet, is matched with 9 through 12. So here, again, we're avoiding some conference matchups here. Is there an obvious one? Jacksonville State, maybe to Florida State or Southern Miss?
Yeah. I would say I would like to probably I would probably avoid Tennessee to Southern Miss again. I mean, we don't have to, but we've had that matchup in a super not too long ago.
So we could send Jacksonville State to Southern Miss.
I think that makes sense.
2 mid-majors together, 2 champions.
It's true.
Yeah.
And then Tennessee to Florida State. And
Cincinnati. Do you think that's going to happen? Again, if we're trying to project, though, like what's going to happen, do we think our committee chairman is going to let Tennessee be the 2 seed at Florida State? I'm just throwing that out there.
Cincinnati. I mean, that's the other option, or Jackson.
Or Jacksonville State could go to Florida State, I guess.
You'd rather do that?
I think that's more. I just think that's more likely. I'm not sure.
Right. All right. So then with A&M can't get Tennessee, so they've got to get either Wake or Cincinnati, and Cincinnati can't go to Kansas.
Sure. So there you go.
Maybe there, and then Wake,
Cincinnati
here, and Tennessee here.
Yep. So if you're just an audio. If you're an audio listener, we did Wake Forest as the 2 in Hattiesburg. Most people are probably watching the video, but Wake Forest is the 2. Cincinnati goes to Texas A&M as your 2. Jacksonville State goes to Florida State as the 2, and then Tennessee goes to Lawrence as the 2. Which I kind of like that. I think that actually just feels right.
Right. Okay, so next would be Oklahoma State, Coastal, Arizona State, and Miami, and they would need to go to North Carolina, Texas, Alabama, or Florida.
Yeah.
So here we do Miami to Florida.
I mean,
they do it but they hadn't.
They would never do that.
They haven't done it in a while, though, right? Yeah, a little while.
But I mean, they play during the season, and certainly the Florida State athletic director would never do something to his 2 rivals to make them face one another.
Could be one of those things. Like, hey, I'll help you get a national seed, but tell you what, I'm going to send Miami there.
Right. How about Coastal Carolina to North Carolina? That seems just kind of makes
like
sense.
An obvious one there.
Kind of like Oklahoma State to Texas.
Yeah.
And then just kind of round it out with Arizona State to Alabama and Miami to Florida. Woohoo.
There you go.
All right. So then our last quartet, Virginia, Liberty, Missouri State, and Louisiana, and they're going to have a tough tough road here. UCLA, Georgia Tech, Georgia, and Auburn.
So we know Virginia can't go to Georgia Tech.
So let's slot them first. So should they go to Georgia or Auburn? Or UCLA?
I think Auburn.
Okay. And then none of these, all of these are flights, so it really doesn't matter. You have a preference who we feed to UCLA?
So the lowest ranked of this 4 for us would have been, I don't know. I guess they're all pretty close actually.
Yeah, they're all comparable.
Yeah.
So it's not really an RPI thing.
Yeah, sure.
I guess
let's send Missouri State, or no, let's send Louisiana. Send Louisiana over there.
Okay. And then Liberty to
Georgia Tech.
And Missouri State to Georgia.
To Georgia. I like that.
Okay. So then our 3 seeds. So they can go anywhere. But what I typically do when we do this is I try to, obviously you're avoiding conference matchups, but I'm trying to look and balance it competitively. So if it's a really hard 2, I try not to give a really hard 3 unless it's just too juicy or it's geography, right?
Sure.
So just looking, usually what I do is I go through and find geographic matchups with, where fans can travel, and especially if they didn't play one another in the regular season. That tends to be a sweet spot. With Troy, they didn't play Auburn this year.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's a no-brainer. Yeah.
Right. Mercer, they did not play Georgia.
Sure, do it.
That makes sense. Then
Cal
I've
Poly
been sending Virginia Tech to Morgantown just for the whole.
I like that.
Allure of it.
That's a loaded regional right there.
Yeah.
3 power conference teams is your top 3 seeds.
Yeah, they'll get an easy 4 then.
I mean, you could also send VCU there if you wanted to balance that out a little more.
Okay, we can do that.
It's a possibility.
We can put it there, and then we'll trial and error this.
Okay.
Because we actually have flexibility here, but with the 2s, there's very little.
Right. Cal, Poly, or Santa Barbara would be our options for drivable 3 seed for UCLA.
Poly's probably it, right? Since they didn't win the regular season, they're the auto bid.
Yeah, so I would say, Santa Barbara would be higher in the pecking order.
Right.
We also, again, we had Louisiana as one of the lower, obviously 2 seeds. So it depends on how much you want to balance that out, I guess.
Okay. We can do that. So then other local, USC Upstate can go to Georgia Tech. It can go to
North Carolina.
North Carolina would probably that would work. Citadel is another one.
East Carolina also could go to North Carolina, or I think that's it for drivability there. They could always get sent somewhere else.
Yeah.
I kind of like
who you match up with Coastal. I'm just trying to avoid mismatches.
Yeah.
Not rematches. Might be a mismatch.
Maybe it is Upstate. Upstate is one of the softer 3 seeds RPI wise, so you could send them to a lower, like a Mississippi State or something, to kind of balance out one of those.
Have USC and USC Upstate. Wouldn't that be confusing?
That wouldn't confuse anybody. Actually, I hate that idea.
Yeah, let's swap them with Citadel.
A lot of USCs.
Citadel could also go to Chapel Hill. Actually, that might make. I kind of like that.
Citadel and Coastal, do they play a lot?
Oh yeah, or you could send Citadel to Georgia Tech, perhaps.
So Citadel and Liberty.
Is that too mid-major centric there? Should we go Kentucky instead, or something like that? Is the 3 seed at Georgia Tech?
Yeah, we can do that.
I don't know.
Kentucky and Liberty. Yeah.
Sure.
So then back to Upstate to North Carolina.
Yeah.
So we have Tarleton to Texas.
Yeah, I'd say
Pairing
so.
with Oklahoma State. That's tends to fit. Probably should find a home for Oklahoma before all the SEC non-SEC ones are done. Kansas, they can't do that. Nebraska, they can't do that.
You could go to Southern Miss, yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
It's the only option we really have. Well, either that or Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Maybe Tallahassee, because then you've got a non-power conference 2 seed.
Yeah, I kind of like that. And you could do. Well, we got a bunch of ACC homes we need to find here.
Yeah. Let's see. So NC State. Could go to, well, a lot of places, really.
Yeah, there's not. I mean, you to Starkville.
So I would say maybe. I mean, State's one of the. I mean, they're one of the last. Well, I guess they're mid-tier 3 seed. Yeah. One of the last teams in the field, though. So I don't know. Maybe they should be higher in the pecking order, like Alabama, or. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that's fine. So we got Virginia Tech we need to find, and Boston College that are both ACC that we need to find spots for.
The Gainesville. You've got Florida and Miami, and then a mid-major conference champ.
UCF.
Well, yeah, I guess UCF does make sense. You could just do that. Good point. Citadel could go to Hattiesburg. Or you could send East Carolina there, I guess.
Yeah, the old CUSA rivals.
Yeah, that'd be fun, actually. I like East Carolina there.
But you have East Carolina and Wake. Do they play a lot?
This year.
Maybe once a year.
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't think they played this year. No, they did not.
Okay.
They could just ride together.
Saving money, KR.
They could just fly to Greenville International Airport and pick them up in Winston-Salem.
All right.
All right.
So
let's send
geography things. I think we're probably tapped.
Let's send one of these ACC teams to College Station. I would say probably BC.
Okay. And then Cal Poly. Let's see. Let them go to Kansas or Nebraska, so they don't have to go all the way across the country.
Sure.
They could go to Oregon.
Yeah.
Or Oregon. Yeah.
Well, let's not put all West teams.
They let's mix them up. I mean, I do like that.
If it's a flight,
Cal Poly was sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's a flight anyway, you might as well send them somewhere that's not the West.
So Northern Illinois to Nebraska or Oregon. I think that's the play.
Yeah.
Maybe let's do that here. They're one of the weaker threes since, the whole Oregon thing.
Sure.
That would make sense.
Good with that.
And then Virginia Tech. I don't know.
Probably exactly Starkville. I like that. And then Citadel.
So once I get the threes done, I kind of just look at it and balance it a little bit and see if we need to switch things around. Because there's another balancing act with the fours. So is there anything we want to tweak before we go to the fours?
I kind of like what we got here.
Okay, is there one we don't like?
Kendall, anything you don't like here?
The two Carolinas at Southern Miss is kind of a little odd to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what you gonna,
So the option here, if we wanted to look at twos, there would be 9. It would be
Kentucky.
Switch. Go Kentucky to Hattiesburg
and East Carolina to Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is Greenville drivable? I mean, is that under 400 miles?
To Atlanta?
Probably not. I don't know. I would drive it.
Might be close.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like that, Kendall. Good call. Anything else with that?
It's 483 miles, by the way. That's
Okay, so it's close. I mean,
so a
I wonder
fan
if
could
there's like a
drive it. The team
threshold.
wouldn't.
a fan could drive it, sure.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's go with that.
CG is cool with that, I'm sure.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're looking at fours, and what I do with the fours is if you got a hard 3, you get an easy 4, and vice versa. Or, and obviously there's geography involved. Like Washington State could go to Oregon, and actually the fans could actually attend a rare regional, right?
I
So
think that makes sense.
other
3 former
locals-
Pac-12 teams in that regional, which is pretty neat.
How about that? So Little Rock, they got some they can drive to. We could go Kansas, Nebraska, probably Starkville.
I think.
Drive to any of those.
Yeah.
Austin.
I don't have any opinion on that, Mark.
Okay, so we'll wait on it.
Okay.
South Dakota State, we'd mentioned maybe they would go to UCLA.
Nebraska.
Or Nebraska, that'd be closer.
Oh yeah, that'd be a super quick drive.
Good point. Good point.
To St. Mary's to UCLA? Or is that too hard? I mean, it's local.
I mean, honestly, well, no, that's a little crazy. But say, hell, St. Mary's might be as close to Eugene, but I don't think so.
No? Yeah.
But Eugene's.
Yeah, I'm fine with UCLA there, or St. Mary's at UCLA.
Lipscomb, there's a local. They could
Georgia
go
Tech
to
on that
Alabama,
one?
Auburn, Georgia Tech, Georgia,
Yeah, they could really go anywhere.
Starkville. They could go anywhere.
Yeah, let's send somebody who needs like an easy flight to Atlanta.
Yeah.
St. Mary's.
Let's come to Auburn.
Yeah, that's fine.
Lipscomb to Auburn. Okay.
Yeah. Or I mean, Alabama State to Auburn make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Or do you think they would try to ship them out a little bit?
Or Lipscomb to Alabama.
Yeah.
Or
Alabama State probably needs to go to one of the two.
Yeah.
Bama schools.
I think Auburn played Alabama State. Alabama did.
Okay. That works. Lamar to Texas?
Or A&M, either one.
Or A&M.
That's in the A&M.
Okay.
They didn't play this year.
No.
Okay. So now it's just more randoms. Other than Little Rock could go somewhere they could drive. Who do we need? Starkville. They could drive that. All right.
Little Rock. Yeah. Okay.
So then we're looking at flights. So
St. John's to West Virginia, or actually, I wonder if there's any of these are drivable to West Virginia. Like Ryder could be drivable to West Virginia.
Holy Cross, Long Island.
Ryder's closer. Let me see here. Yeah, Ryder's 333 miles to Morgantown.
Okay, can do that. And then Milwaukee or Illinois, Chicago. Could they go to Kansas? That's still too far.
Yep.
Okay, so it's a flight. So Milwaukee, because they're one of the weaker ones. Let's move them up high. One of these spots.
Okay, send them to maybe Georgia Tech to Milwaukee to Georgia Tech. I feel like that's I don't know. It doesn't matter. That's fine either way.
They're comparable.
Northeastern feels like the most dangerous of these 4 seeds left, in St. John's, I would say. So, where do you want to balance out a regional that you think needs a more challenging 4 seed?
Texas.
Okay.
Texas and North Carolina probably should get those two.
Yeah. Sure. So let's go Northeastern to North Carolina.
Okay.
St. John's to Texas. Yep.
And then, let's see, Georgia could probably use whoever's the best one left. Yale, maybe?
Illinois, Chicago.
Illinois, Chicago. Okay.
Yeah, and not by RPI. I take that back. RPI does not like UIC. 233. Yale 144 RPI. Long Island 199. Binghamton 118. So Binghamton's actually the highest RPI team left.
Were they there last year?
Hmm.
I've got it over here. Hang on. The 4 seed in Athens was Binghamton.
Okay, well, let's not do that. Good catch. Let's send them to Gainesville then.
Okay. And Holy Cross to Georgia.
Okay. Nobody wants to see the pride of Worcester County coming in.
Yeah, they're scared.
Tough draw for the SEC double champs to get the boys from Fitt and Field coming in.
Yeah.
Yale to Tallahassee and Long Island to Southern Miss. Okay, good.
Okay, so any other adjustments you want to make, and we'll read through them real quick. So UCLA their 2 seed would be Louisiana, then UC Santa Barbara and St. Mary's. That would be the quartet. Then the 2 seed Georgia Tech would have Liberty, East Carolina, and Milwaukee. The 3 seed Georgia would have Missouri State, Mercer, and Holy Cross. 4 seed Auburn would have Virginia, Troy, and Alabama State. 5 seed North Carolina have Coastal Carolina, USC Upstate, and Northeastern. 6 seed Texas would have Oklahoma State, Tarleton, and St. John's. 7 seed Alabama would have Arizona State, NC State, and Lipscomb. That would be interesting. 8 would be Florida, who would have Miami, UCF, and Binghamton. Another good one. Southern Miss would have Wake Forest, Kentucky, and Long Island. That could be fun. Texas A&M would have Cincinnati, Boston College, and Lamar. Florida State would have Jacksonville State, Oklahoma, and Yale. Kansas, the 12 seed, would have Tennessee, Cal Poly, and Illinois Chicago. 13 Oregon would have Oregon State. Northern Illinois and Washington State. 14 would have West Virginia, Ole Miss, VCU, and Rider. 15 Nebraska would have Arkansas, the Citadel, and South Dakota State. And 16 Mississippi State would have USC, Virginia Tech, and Little Rock. And that's our field.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right.
I think they should just use this field.
Yeah, they may. I wouldn't count on it, though. But this has been a lot of fun, guys. We went through this 2 hours. And it was really hard at the bottom of the field, especially. Just trying to decide who to cut and trying to make cases for teams that we wanted to keep. Right, is really challenging. But with that, we'll have the actual field in a few hours. It'll be tomorrow. What is it? 11 o'clock? 11:30.
Noon Eastern, right?
Is it 12? Yeah.
I think the show starts at
noon Eastern. Yeah,
noon Eastern. Let's try to be loyal to everyone. Uses Eastern time. Kendall, sorry. 12 Eastern tomorrow on ESPN.
Texas makes the world go round, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
Our friends, Coach Peterson, Coach Rooney, I believe, Coach Schick, Coach Burke, all going to be involved with that production. We'll have a live show.
We will.
I think
Reaction?
it's what
Right after?
Right after the projections. I mean, the field is released, and then we'll have content. We'll write about it and give our thoughts and analysis on it throughout the day and throughout the week.
12:45 Eastern or so is, I believe, when we're going to try to go live tomorrow. Once all the fields actually announced, we're going to go. So there you go. And this has been fun. Thanks to all of you diehards. I see at least over 13,000 of you on there. I don't know if that's the right
and
number,
a lot more on Twitter.
A lot of folks watching. Thank you. You sickos make this program possible with your support and your passion. And this was a lot of fun. Another great, fun year of the Nerdcast.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.